All right, and we are live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Come on, welcome in. Welcome into our virtual town hall event. My name is Haley LaQuesta, and I'm honored to serve as the Director of Media and PR here at the Richmond County School System. So, as people are joining our virtual town hall event, I'll give a little bit of background. The theme of this evening is back to school for 2025-2026. It felt like we blinked and suddenly we're back in that season again. This week, we're welcoming back all of our teachers and staff and really gearing up to make sure that we have a successful school year. And as we do so, we want to make sure that parents and families and students are well informed and know exactly where to go and what to do on that first day of school. So we're glad that you've joined us tonight as we get ready to kick off that 25-26 school year. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to share some important back to school information. As we go along and I introduce Interim Superintendent Dr. Melinda Cobb, feel free to use that Q&A button either at the top of your screen if you're using a desktop or at the bottom of your screen if you're a mobile user to submit some questions. So we're going to start out with some opening remarks and a presentation from Dr. Cobb, and then we'll go through and answer as many of your questions as possible. Throughout the presentation, feel free to submit your questions. And it's my pleasure now to introduce our Interim Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Melinda Cobb.
Thank you, Ms. LaQuesta. I'm looking so forward today to have this opportunity to talk with some of our parents and see if we can share some information about back to school and then take a little time to work on our two-way communication. So I think at this time, we're going to go ahead and pull up our slides. We have a few slides that we want to share. We shared some of this information at our previous committee meeting, but we want to make sure we put this out for our families as well. And so we can go ahead to the next slide. This is our new mission and vision statement. Our mission is empowering every learner every day, and our vision is preparing every student to thrive, adapt, and lead in an ever-changing world. If you're not familiar, this is new for us. This is our 2025 all the way to 2030 set. Every 5 years, we renew this. Our belief statements, and 3 of those really apply to what we're doing here today, making sure all students deserve a quality educational experience, not just in the classroom, but the entire educational experience. We know that education is a shared responsibility, and that's between the school and the families and our community. So thank you for joining us today. And we believe that transparency is a foundation for trust. So we want to take just a few minutes to share some information that we have for you. On our next slide, this is a copy of the new strategic plan. We have really where we've organized our work over the next 5 years into 5 areas. How are we improving student achievement, working on stakeholder engagement and communication. And you'll notice what's really different about this map from before is we really want to change, instead of just one-way communication and sharing letters or notifications, we really want to engage in two-way communication. So this first town hall is an example of that. Always working on talent development and making sure we provide a safe and secure learning environment for our students. On our next slide. We want to always take a moment to pause and just celebrate our success. So we'll take a look at a few of the accomplishments that we're really proud of. Last school year, the graduating class of 2024 had a historic graduation rate of 81.7. We are excited that class of 2025 is maintaining that, and we look forward to being able to share that information later in August. This past school year, our CCRPI, that is the accountability measure the state uses for schools. We saw improvement in every single area. That was for elementary, middle, and high school. So kudos, teachers, students, and families. Our district ACT scores rose by 3% across our high schools. The class of 2025, they earned more than $41 million in scholarships. We had 7 of our state identified schools that were honored for their exceptional progress. C.T. Walker was named a Title I School of Distinction. Super proud of Laney High School as they exited the state list for their subgroup of students with disabilities. We had 9 Governor's Honors Program participants. 10 of our schools were named AP Honor Schools, and 8 of our schools were named by the state of Georgia as a math leader, and 7 of them for literacy leaders. So that's a great foundation going into the new year. On our next slide, this is a little bit of information. We always try to prepare a demographic slide. It's just a little snapshot. So I'll have this on the screen here for you to be able to see a little bit about who we are. And this information was taken from our last FTE count. That's our official count that we report to the state. So that's just a little bit of information about who we are. On our next slide, let's talk about strategic waiver school systems. Some of you may have heard some information shared in the community about what that means to have a strategic waiver. You may remember back in 2015, every single school system in the state of Georgia, they had to decide which way they wanted to go. Do they want to be a strategic waiver school system? Do they want to be a charter system, or do they want to do what was called status quo? And the majority of the school systems in Georgia opted for the strategic waiver school system. What does that mean? That means that we were able to waive some of the state laws for school systems in order to be able to, or in exchange for flexibility so that we could see some gains. But one of the things people have been talking about is the 1-year extension. So our contract, it is up for renewal. We received great progress, accolades from the State Department. They want us to come back in 1 year to show that we have met some of the goals that they have provided for us before they extend that for the full 5 years. So that's where we are with that work, and we look forward to being able to share with the state what we've accomplished. All right, on the next slide is some information about open house. And our open house is from 12 to 6 on July 31st for elementary, and K-8, middle, magnet, and high school will have their open house on August 1st. So what do we do at open houses? Parents, families, please come out, take a few moments to meet your child's teacher. One of the most common things we do is get your supply list. So come out and meet your teachers on those days. We chose the hours of 12 to 6 to try to help meet our working families so that hopefully somewhere between lunch and the end of the day, you'll be able to go by. First day of school, we are very excited to talk about our first day of school, and that's going to be August 4th for our elementary students, and then the first day of school for our K-8, middle school, magnet, and high school students is Tuesday, August 5th. On our next slide, this is a copy of our academic calendar, and there are a couple of different versions floating around, so I do want to make sure parents, make sure you have the one in the top right corner. It'll say approved 3/18/25. What this calendar represents is a change in some of our power up days. In the previous calendars, we actually had 2 power up days every semester. But one of the things that we've learned with our inclement weather is that we wanted to narrow that down to only 1 each semester. What else is new about our calendar? In the event that we do have inclement weather, and in an inclement weather that where school might be closed, that will become a power up day. And then the designated date on the calendar, like if you look at this one where it says October 9th, that just turns into a regular school day in the event that we have to have an inclement weather day between now and October 9th. So we're going to cross our fingers for sunny weather and hope that those are the days we celebrate. A great feature our communication team has provided, and you'll notice on the screen, if you do at rcboe.info/RCSS calendar, you can actually follow those directions and it will download and populate all of those dates onto your personal calendar so that you'll have all of those on your device. Our testing calendar is available, as well as our bell schedule, future year calendars, and early release times for any folks that want to visit the rcboe.org/calendar. Speaking of bell times, on our next page, we want to make sure everyone knows what time school starts. So in Richmond County, we have what we call 3 tiers, and that really just refers to what time you start. So our first group of schools start school every day, 7:25 until 2:15 p.m. And you can see which of those elementary and high schools fit into that category. Then we move to our second tier schools. They run from 8:20 until 3:10 p.m. Our third tier, typically our middle schools, these schools do have a new bell schedule. The new bell schedule is 9:15 to 4:20 p.m. That's a little later, families, for what time you're going to pick up your middle school students. And just to make sure we call out, that would be Bel Air Middle, Glen Hills Middle, Hephzibah Middle, Langford Tutt, Murphy, Pine Hill, Richmond Hill, and W.S. Hornsby. Our magnet schools are 8:30 to 3:25, and you'll see all of our different special programs and their corresponding hours. All right, so what are we doing? How did we get ready for our students to return to work, to return to school? This summer, we've been really training our new teachers. Our teachers are returning, and our leaders to help make sure that they are ready. We do have new ELA standards that are rolling out, so we've been working with our teachers in K through 12 to make sure they are ready for that. And our leaders have attended a variety of training to help make sure that they are also on point. We are looking forward tomorrow to having our first district convocation at the Bell Auditorium. We haven't been together as a whole group since before the pandemic, so we're really excited about that. Your teachers this week are all working in their schools for pre-planning and preparation for welcoming your children back. On our next slide, we have some information about transportation, one of the most common questions we get at the beginning of the year. This year, we had a campaign called Ride Ready, where we wanted every student to register for the bus. The participation in that was not as high as we wanted, so we do encourage all families, if you know that you are not going to be riding the bus, please complete that registration and let us know. Otherwise, what happens is we prepare routes for students that are not going to be riding the bus, and that slows down the process a little bit. So we're going to continue to take your feedback for that new bus registration process. But I did want to take a moment to let our families know this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to really make sure our bus routes are accurate for those students who will be riding. We do have transportation job fair. If you know anyone who would like to be a bus driver, please come out Wednesday, August 13th from 3 to 6 over at our transportation facility. On our next slide, we have some really important numbers for families. We have a transportation hotline. This is a good one to write down or take a picture of, however you want to save this. But this is, if you have any questions related to what's going on with transportation, please reach out. Our web page also has some great information. We have rcboe.org/bus registration for anyone who needs help. If you've moved here and you say, I'm not sure which school I'm zoned for, our bus route school zone locator is excellent. You can type in your address. It will let you know which schools you're zoned for, and it'll let you know what time, where your bus is going to pick you up and when. Stop Finder. That's a great app that parents can download. We've worked really hard this summer to help make sure that the information within Stop Finder is as accurate as possible. So parents, hold us accountable for making gains in this area. And then if you see something that's not working with the Stop Finder app, please let us know. On our next slide, we have some information about how we'd like to connect. So this is one way today, but parents, please make sure you have an account in your Infinite Campus Parent Portal. That is something that you set up once for your child's entire educational career, and then you can download the Parent Portal app. You can see their grades, you can see their attendance, and when schools send out announcements, parents, you can get a copy of that there. Another tool we have is our Let's Talk tool. If you go onto our web page, you'll notice the Let's Talk app. That's a great place to go if you have any questions, because we also have an AI feature. So if you ask a question, what day do middle school students start? That AI chat tool will be able to give that answer to you. If it's something that we can't answer in a basic chat, then what will happen is that question will go to the department and you will hear directly from someone on our team. Peach jar. That's how we send out our digital flyers. So you'll remember when we were younger, we printed out a lot of papers. We'd always send those home with families. Today, our partners give those to us digitally. And so we send those out to your email through something called Peach Jar. So if you have everything from Peach Jar going to your junk mail, it may be something you want to go back in and pull those out. Sprigio. This is a tool that our students, community, family members can go online and report any kind of anonymous bullying, safety report. So this is our See Something, Say Something. This is monitored 24/7. So anytime someone puts something in there very urgent, we are notified. And the last one we have there is a blog that's shared, rcboe.org/our stories. Our communication team, they keep a list of all of our running stories so that you can go on and check out what's happening in Richmond County. On our next slide are some tools that I really want to make sure our parents are aware of. Every elementary school teacher is asked to have a Class Dojo account. So this is a tool that you'll want to, it's an app that you want to put on your phone, and it allows you to have two-way communication with your child's teacher. This is a great tool. So what do our middle schools and high schools use? They use Remind. So when you go to open house, do not be surprised if every one of your middle school and high school teachers are saying, here's my code for remind. Go ahead and add all of your child's teachers. That way you can see reminders about homework and other things. Canvas is the tool that's really designed for our teachers to be able to communicate directly with our students. But again, parents, if you'd like to, you can create an observer account and go in and actually see the assignments the students are working on. All right, and our next slide is the end of our presentation. I think I'm going to pull that up. Thank you, Caleb, for having that there for us. We just really wanted to start with a little bit of information for our families because we figured there's some common questions. We really appreciate those of you who sent in your questions early. Hopefully, we covered the majority of the questions that we received in our presentation.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Cobb. So we're moving into our Q&A section. Some of you have submitted your questions. We'll cover those. I'll remind you that we also have the Q&A feature on this meeting open. So if you'd like to submit a question, you can share it through that as well. Before we start, I'll give a little bit of a disclaimer. So if we have questions about specific students, my child, little Johnny, has a specific situation in the new school year, we won't share that student's information during this meeting, but we will encourage you to go to our Let's Talk portal that we just talked about at rcboe.org/Let's Talk, submit your question there, and then you'll hear from someone directly that can address the specific concern about you and your child. So following this event, I'll also collect all the questions that we received today. We'll go through as many as possible, but either way, I'm going to upload a frequently asked questions section that has all of these questions at our back to school page at rcboe.org/back to school. So with that, Dr. Cobb, let's go ahead and tackle some questions that we received. And if you don't mind, this first question I'd like to tackle too, because I have a little bit of some background information on it. So we received a question about bus registration. So I didn't do bus registration because I didn't know that I had to. And I want to know the bus that my child will be riding and where I can find that information for the new school year. So to give a little bit of background, and we touched on it a little bit, Dr. Cobb touched on bus registration before. This is a new process that we're rolling out to all Richmond County school system families. The reason why we're asking families to register for the bus is so that we can get more accurate routes, and especially during this first 2 weeks of school, as new students are coming in, they're figuring out their bus routes for our drivers. That is where we're going to help optimize and make our routes more efficient. So if you haven't registered yet, don't worry, your child will still receive transportation to and from school. We encourage you to go to your open house on July 31st for elementary schools and August 1st to talk with your schools and learn more about daily bus schedules. But you can also visit that link that we shared earlier, rcboe.org/stopfinder. That's where you're going to find a lot of that information about your child's bus route. Our bus drivers are going to have that completely updated as they complete these practice runs this weekend. So before the first day of school, you'll be able to track your child's bus, and where the stops will be as well using those links. But you can also go to your parent portal at any time and always click yes or no about whether you want your child to ride the bus. So rcboe.org/bus registration. I hope that kind of tackled that question. So Dr. Cobb, I actually have a question for you now, if that's okay. So I have a question about relocation and consolidation. Are there any relocation plans for Richmond County's Technical Career Magnet School this year? And really, what is the status of right sizing or facilities management for the 25-26 school year?
Great question. Thank you. So you'll recall that last year we went out into our community, last school year, we went out into the community and we said, these are the plans. And then we shared with you guys, like, this is the possibility. These are some thoughts on a 5 to 10 year long range plan. We received so much feedback from the community. So we realized during this past school year that we needed to step back and take a moment until we have a permanent superintendent in place and then really re-engage our community with this process. So the process is ready. we'll begin working with families. We meet with our Board of Education to really get some of their thoughts and get some guidance and direction from them on some of the things that they heard as well. We'll do that this summer. And then we're going to start with a focus group from high schools. So we have a group of volunteers from all our different high schools who will come together to begin to work on the high school model. And then we'll reach back out to our community starting this fall. So as far as RCTCM specifically, just like any other school, there is no specific plan on exactly which schools are going to be impacted. That's really the whole point of getting feedback from the community, is to hear what your thoughts are. Do we know that we're going to have to close and consolidate some schools in the future? Yes. But right now, we don't know what that plan is, and we look forward for anyone who's interested to please come out and be a part of that.
No, thank you for that. And I think it's important to know too, I like how you said nothing will be decided without community feedback. It really is a community decision, and we value that conversation back and forth with parents and guardians. So moving on to our next question, we have a question about sports. What sports are offered, specifically on the middle school level? What kind of middle school sports are offered for magnets and traditional comprehensive middle schools?
Okay, great. I know you mentioned about magnets, and we do have a smaller athletic program available for our magnet students. And part of that is because we do offer club and specific programming. So at our magnet schools in the middle school age, I really encourage you to get involved in some of the clubs that are involved at your school. In general, our traditional middle schools, we have football, basketball, baseball, softball, track and field. I think I got them all. And then some, we begin to take a look at golf, trying to get some programs pushed into our middle school, some opportunities we have with First Tee even. But those are the big ones that we have. Here's why: because we know that our students, they need to belong to something. They want to be a part of the school. And earlier I shared that it's important for us to have an educational experience. And we think that athletics, clubs, that's a huge part of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Encourage you again to go to open house and see what specifically is offered for your school. And I'll add too, as the next sports season ramps up, you can always visit our athletics page at rcboe.org/athletics. And they have weekly schedules, score updates, all sorts of good and important information for parents and guardians.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. So I'm looking through here. So talking about the classroom now, switching gears a little bit, what are some of the measures that our school system has in place to improve academic outcomes in the classroom this year?
Okay, great. Well, one of the things that we do every year is it begins at the school level. Each school has a team that comes together. It's what we call our school improvement plan. They look at all of their data, they come together and they identify, okay, these are the 2 to 3 areas that we see we can improve. They come up with some action steps, and then the district office helps support those. So we go out to the schools, whatever help they need, we provide support in that. But we also do some monitoring. So we have something called a 45 and a 90-day review, and that's where we'll have some team members from central office, the leadership team from that school, and together we come together to take a look at how things are going. Are there any obstacles in the way? Do we need to make any shifts or any pivots? So school improvement is a cycle. And so always what you want to do is identify what's working, how do we keep doing that? What's not working so well, and then try to figure out why. And then a team comes together to make those, to try to make improvements in that area. So those are some of the things that we have in place already going into our new school year. We're excited about the new ELA standards. We're excited to make sure our teachers are well trained in that area. And we're honestly looking forward to just building on the momentum we've had over the last several years coming out of the pandemic of making those academic gains.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Oh, and I think that monitoring piece really makes sense to me too, because as teachers go throughout the school year, things change and the needs change. So being able to intervene, I think will be really important for both the students and the teachers, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question here about safety. Um, will Richmond County School System be implementing clear bags in our schools this year?
A great question. We have actually received this question for quite a few times in our Let's Talk. I think that really got out in the community somewhere. But at this time, we are not looking at a clear book bag policy. So we are not requiring students to bring clear book bags. There are a variety of reasons on that. And one of those reasons, honestly, is even the way we put our storage, our devices. We're a one-to-one school system. That doesn't always work in some of the clear bags. But parents, we need your help when it comes to the book bags. It is so important, no matter the age of your child, to make sure you are checking your child's book bag every day before he or she comes to school. Sometimes we want to say, well, my child's older. That's maybe when they need you the most, to make sure they haven't accidentally put something in there that really doesn't need to come to school. But we are not going to be implementing a clear bag policy.
Thank you for that. Now, I have two more questions here from our participants. First is around magnet schools. So, if a child attended a magnet school and then left for a public school, will they be able to join back to that magnet school if they don't want to go to that public school anymore?
Great question. So part of the way that we have in our procedures around our magnet schools is that once you leave a magnet school, you cannot come back to that magnet school unless your parents happen to have military orders requiring you to leave our school system or come back. And a lot of that is based around a wait list. Like, we do have students waiting to get into that program. The second part of it is that we have programming that we offer. It's very specialized program. So once you leave, it's sometimes hard to come back and close those gaps. But you are not prevented from potentially applying for and starting your new coursework at a different magnet school. So that is what we have in place for our students for our magnets. I hope that helped answer.
Yeah, and every fall we have a school choice application period. If you'd like to reapply for that, you absolutely can too. So our last question before we hop off here. I have a question specifically about academic outcomes for reading and writing. What are we doing to improve reading and writing so that our students will be able to go and read and write at the appropriate level? How many times can you say read and write in the same sentence?
Sure, no problem. All right. So again, that really goes back to what I was talking about with the school improvement plan, because pretty much every single school has a goal around reading and writing, and then another goal around mathematics. Pretty much every single one, because those are the two big areas for us. The first thing is that we've made sure that we have high quality curriculum materials available to our teachers and our students. The second one is around the training that we provide to our teachers, as far as making sure we're supporting them in the professional learning. Having quality education every day, which requires for our students to also attend school. Please, please, please send your children to school as long as they are healthy and able to attend. And then that partnership. There are 2 times every year where we bring our parents to a parent-teacher conference, and that sometimes they're even led by the student. But that teacher will have that opportunity to sit and talk with each parent about where your individual child is performing. And that teacher will also be able to give you like an individual plan on how to make gains for your particular child. So yes, we have a lot of different initiatives, but those are 2 of the ones, like for parents. I encourage every parent to do this too. Please make sure your child is reading something always. And then ask them about it. Like, what are you ask them questions. Tell me about what you're reading. If possible, read it also so you can talk with your child. And then making sure that they have a good space to be able to do their homework every day is one of the things that would help in that area. I can't underestimate just really the importance of communicating with your child's teacher. The relationship that the teacher has with the parent is the most important one.
Thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense, and really kind of tackles that question of what can I do? What can I do to help improve my students or my child's academic performance as well? It's really a partnership. And those parent conference dates are included in the academic calendar. Listen out for your specific schools and
Mhm.
those dates that you'll have and those chances to engage face to face with your teacher too. You really get so much quality feedback on that front. And I think we have room for one more question. So, Dr. Cobb, is the cell phone policy still in effect for the school year? That's our last question that we'll take this evening.
Yes, we still want to disconnect from distractions. So our students are asked to put their phones away. They should turn them off. I think we call it power down. Turn the phones off, put them in your bag, put it away, keep it out of the classroom. Each student does have a device, so you don't need it for your classwork. We've provided that for you. We did find that it did cut down on some of those classroom distractions, and it helped our students really be present with the teacher to help engage in the learning. When our teachers can engage with the students, we know the learning is going to be more meaningful. Every parent's had that moment at the dinner table where you're trying to engage, but the child's on the phone, and you're like, hey, hey, put the phone down. Or sometimes it's the parent, right? But we want to make sure that we put those phones down, disconnect from distractions, and engage in the learning.
Yeah, I definitely have that trouble too, putting the phone down and not scroll all night, all day. So that is all the time that we have, guys. Like I said, any questions that we did not address, or if you have more questions that you didn't have the chance to ask during the session, I will upload an FAQ to the back to school page at rcboe.org/back to school. And you can always submit your question and receive a response directly from the Richmond County School System at rcboe.org/let's talk. Thank you so much, Dr. Cobb, for joining us today. Hopefully, this will be the one of many, many town halls where you can get your questions answered, and we look forward to the dialogue. Thank you, guys, and we look forward to seeing you on August 4th and August 5th.